Hello, dear friends. Good morning. We are here for our Gospel Online. Luciana and I and the team from the Spirited Society of Virginia and Kardec Radio, under the mentorship of the higher spirits, will be here reading a message with you. And this is for us to get in the habit of doing the gospel at home. Why do we do the gospel at home? Why is it so important? And the good spirits tell us it's a way for us to bring the spiritual centers to our homes, or if you don't have an affiliation, just this opportunity for healing, for reflections, for connection with Jesus, with God, a moment that you can do, hopefully, among your family, but that shouldn't stop you. If your family is now ready to do this together, you can do it by yourself. Sometimes we hear stories of people doing it with their pets. It's okay, they count. So how do we do it? You have a book that is with inspirational messages. In our case, we have been studying this book, Jesus in the Home. You choose one day of the week and a certain time, which should be the same time every week on the same day. Why? Why is that important? Because the spirit mentors are also very busy and they want to come visit you. They want to bring a team to help cleanse your home, treat, do all sorts of things that we don't even know it's happening. But they need to know what time, and they need to know that you're going to be there. So that's why it's so important to be at the same time on the same day. Also, you can put a glass of water or a jar of water that the spirit doctors will put some healing treatments for you, which you will drink at the end. Then we sit, we say a prayer, you read a message, discuss it, say a prayer, and that's it. If you're doing this at home, it should only take between 15 to 30 minutes. It's a little bit longer here because we're going to discuss with you, and so it takes a little bit longer, about an hour. But at home, it doesn't have to be that long, okay? So for us to start, we're going to close our eyes and we're going to say our prayer. Dear Master Jesus, we thank you for the opportunity of being here under your care and under your inspiration. We are grateful for your emissaries that are present with us during this study session, that are healing us, treating our family members, and to the spirits that are connected to us. We pray that we are good students under your care, that we receive the message that we're supposed to study with open hearts and open minds. We thank you always for bringing these beautiful messages through the loving hands of Chico Xavier, and to the many spirits that made this possible. We cannot express our gratitude. And with under your permission and under your protection, we ask to start these moments of reflection today. And so be it. So friends, hi John, I see you. And we can see you because you left a little message, but to the ones that we can't see you, welcome. Luciana and I were inspired to open chapter 34 of the book, Jesus in the Home. If you have it, you can follow the reading with us. In chapter 34, it starts by, the title is The Offended Servant. After Delilah, Azor, the weaver's wife, made comments regarding the evils of certain disreputable publicans who had shown her disrespect in the public square when she was trying to practice the good. Jesus recounted simply.
There was once a merciful woman who wanted to be a messenger of divine kingdom on earth. So she came knocking on heaven's door asking for work.
She was greeted attentively by an angel who suggested that she visit a tavern in order to save two careless good men who had gotten drunk, overcome by insinuations suggested by spirits of darkness.
The very next day, however, the message reappeared in tears explaining to the minister of the Eternal One that she had been unable to do what he had asked because she place was full of gambler exchanging obscene and cruel words.
So the angel sent her to a hidden place in nearby forest in order to rescue a homeless child.
But the next day the emissary returned, stating that she had been unable to carry out the task because the cave was a hidden place for a number of half-naked men and women who might harm her chastity as a woman.
Without giving up on her, the heavenly agent appointed her to help a dying woman. But a few hours later, the worker returned blushing to the core and told the angel that she had not even been able to enter the sick woman's room because the patient's husband was in the waiting room speaking with a questionable woman about a plan to murder someone the following evening.
Although somewhat disappointed, the obliging minister of the Almighty suggests that she help two mentally ill men who are living in a place of fifth of squalor.
The horrified worker returned quickly the following day, stating that she had been unable to fulfill the objective because the crazed men were living deeply affected in sins of an unclean life and that she had been highly appalled by it.
The agent of the Most High, after listening to her with obvious wonder, asked her to help a young girl who was in grave danger. But the overly sensitive worker soon returned, explaining that the girl was at the wild party and was in a repulsive moral condition.
And so it was that the candidate for heavenly work went uselessly through the week, cultivating ineffectiveness under various pretexts.
Even so, she once again went looking for the angel to ask for work, but received this fighting response: My sister, just go back to your normal earthly endeavors for the time being.
Oh, but why? She asked, perplexed. Don't I deserve to draw nigh to a higher level of life?
Your eyes are full of ill will, the minister patiently pointed out, and in order to serve the Lord, the servant of the good corrects of offense lovingly and silently without being offended personally.
The master was silent for a few moments and then he concluded matter of factly.
Those who speak too much those who spend too much time worrying about evil are in no condition to do the good.
His listeners looked at each other in wonder, and a final prayer for the home worship was said, while outside the snow white moon shone in the darkness of the night. symbolizing a glowing invitation from heaven to the sublime battle for the victory of the light. So this message brings to us. Let's start with the title, "The Offended Servant." And then Jesus goes to tell the story of this servant that keeps asking for, to help. But then everything that this person go supposedly to help or ask to help, she feels offended. In Portuguese, there is a word melindre, which means when we are oversensitive, right? We take things personally, and then that stops us from doing the good. And Jesus is telling us kindly, that we are faced with so many opportunities. We ask for it. Like this person was asking for it. Oh, can I help? Okay, go do this. Can I help a sick person? Go there. And everything, there were barriers, right, Lou? Like the many examples of barriers. Every single paragraph, there was something that the person couldn't do.
Yeah, everything that she asks is like us, right? As Paloma mentioned, and it's interesting that always the gospel at home bring messages that is so close to us, because like we are always praying, we are asking, how can I help? And then when these emissaries of God comes to us and gives us the insight, like the intuition of what we should be doing, right away we turn around and say, oh, but I cannot help this person because this and that. And interesting that this message bring it to us like in a personal, right? Everything was brought to the personal level to her. And then the good spirit say, like, you need to not choose the choice, the things that you're supposed to be doing. We just need to help. And this is what happened to us daily. We're always praying, what can I help? How can I help someone? And the opportunity comes daily to our lives, but we need to see how we are responding to this question, because it's not going to be what we want to do. It's what is need to be done.
And it's interesting, Lucas, right on the second paragraph, he says, there was once a merciful woman. So she felt, that she wanted to help. It wasn't that she didn't feel like it. She was a merciful woman. She wasn't evil. She wanted to help, and she asked for it. She came knocking on heaven's door, asking for work. So she was like, can I help? She, wanted to be there for it, but something lacked. What happened? Why couldn't this woman help? She wanted to,
Yeah.
but she didn't fulfill it. Where was her will?
Yeah, and it's like we just mentioned, we knock, we want to help, but how many times we go and help and we want to do what we want to help people? Like when we go to serve the homeless, people say, "Oh, why you're going there?" Right? They don't need this, they don't need that, they have this and that. But like, you were asked to go there and serve, not for you to go and judge. Like, we cannot be judging people. We need to go in with an open heart to serve. And she was lacking this open heart, right? She just like, I want to help, but this is happening over there. She's going there and judge every situation that she was called to help.
Yeah, which brings us, Lo. I think it's on the way, the truth and the life, that has the two messages, goodwill and ill will.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're saying. We ask to help. We have the will. Is it good or is it ill will? Right? And then we go to places and then we judge. And now instead of us helping, Because when we have goodwill, we just do it. When we have this ill will, even though we think we're there, like serving the homeless is a good example, because we can go and use that moment to help no matter what. The good spirits wants us to help, we're going to be there. Or we're going to be there crossing our arms, complaining, judging, look at this, look at that, or, so many buts. We put buts, conditions, and then we don't end up helping because it doesn't count if it doesn't come from the heart, which is what this story is telling us about.
Yeah.
She
I'm
goes,
just
paragraph by paragraph in how she was really judging and not being helpful in any situation.
yeah. Yeah, I'm just reading over the passage, right? That she was greet attending by the angel who suggested she visit the tavern in order to save two careless good men who had gotten drunk. And then she goes, and then the next day she comes with this judgment that we are saying. It is interesting for us to bring it to our lives, right? How we ask, but when we are presenting with these tasks, we like find an excuse, find something that we don't want to go ahead and progress and do what it needs to be done. We need to meditate. And
Yeah,
don't be and make sure we are not this offender servant, because she was feeling offended with the chores that she was being received. How come you asking this to me? I can't fulfill this.
yeah. And that's a great point, Lou. I think it's something we should discuss more because we do feel offended thinking that I was given a chore that is not up to our standard, right?
Yes.
We want to help as long as is something I want to, it fits my lifestyle or this and that, right? Like if somebody says, your job is to stay home and care for the sick, and that's hard. Only people that are caregivers know how hard it is, right?
Yes.
And then we're like, oh no, I can't do that. I cannot change somebody's diaper. That is too much. And then we feel offended. How come that is what I'm supposed to do? I have so many other things that I'm good at. And then the good spirits are saying, come on, that's the chore for you, and you're not fulfilling it. It's a problem. Which the underlying reason we feel like that is because we're truly rebellious. Rebelliousness takes us to this point that we think we're too good for things. So I am not taking it. I'm not doing it. No, I will only do what I want to do. Unfortunately, we're still like this. All of us. That's why we're on planet Earth.
Yeah. And it's interesting, it's good for us to bring this message again that the mentors always tells us that when we are called to do something and we are not able to fulfill, and we rebelliously don't do it, in through mediumistic meetings, through chapters in many books that we read about it, it brings to us that answer, like, we are presenting you with this task, with this job for you to do it and help. If you cannot do the basic, you're not able to grow, to progress. So when we are called to do like a small task, let's see, in the center, when we are called like, we need your help, right? And you need to this and that, but like people just don't really understand that the little task is like an example of this call, right? Of the divine angel that comes and tell you, we need your help doing this. But then like, oh no, 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 I don't want to do this. I want to do something very grandiose, be recognized, be doing something big. But the mentors come and tell us we need to be able to fulfill the little tasks in order to be receiving more and more and more bigger and different tasks. So like we're doing like baby steps. So if we're called to do clean the diaper, right? Go feed the homeless. And right there, we are really being very rebellious. We cannot progress to the next phase, right? So we need to meditate on this because how can I be useful with the task that I've been called now and instead of being rebellious and don't fulfill what I've been called, I need to turn around and say, no, they need me doing this. God's calling me to do this. The community is asking me to do this. My work is asking me to do this because in every situation in life, there's someone asking for our help. And we need to be very careful analyzing those help and see how we can fulfill, right? And of course, we're going to fulfill those request if it is aligned with Jesus, if it is aligned with the divine, right? So we need to be um, very wise when we take to those tasks because nowadays there's a lot of questioning, right? How can I help if I don't know God's law or anything? So we need to read the gospel, do those meetings weekly, right? So we can get more tools to help us out to go through life, to go through the week. So we are strong and we have this north to make the decisions, right?
Yeah. And Lou, what you just said is what Justin was like typed right before you started talking about the how the small tasks are so important, right? And actually, we could say, what is a small task? We might perceive it as small, but we don't know. And it can be something that would trigger somebody going to a completely different path, or ourselves, our family members, our children. So, we really don't know much. We just should fulfill it. And when you were talking about resignation, Lou, it reminded me of the presentation yesterday on Friday on Kardec Radio, the 7 o'clock program. Um, Andre Moreira brought, the topic about rebelliousness. And he said, what is the opposite of it is resignation. And then when we think of resignation, let us bring it to ourselves, because this is supposed to be a moment that we're working on our inner development. This is about our personal development, our personal journey, right? So he said, resignation. And what is resignation? We're like, oh no, we don't want to be resigned to anybody, to anything. We want to do what we want to do. But he said something so beautiful. He said, it's not about being passive. It's not being resigned to something. It doesn't mean you just accept things and it is what it is. It's about being active resignation, where we are doing what we're doing right now, is thinking about the process, accepting it, and saying, why is this happening? And why I'm going to use this to help in my self-development. So when the tasks from the good spirits comes to us to do something, it's not like we do it blindly. We do it because we know there's something more to it. What is it? Now that's up to us to figure it out. All of us have some points to develop, many points. But, it's very particular to our journey. So we take the opportunity to do something, whatever it is, as an opportunity of growth and not being rebellious. Or, which is the other point that is super important, and that's why the title is The Offended Servant, where he goes and says, let me point you to the very language because it was so good. Okay. So he says, the overly sensitive worker soon returned, exclaiming that the girl was at a wild party and it was in repulsive moral condition. But for us here, we highlight overly sensitive, which we said in Portuguese, melindre, overly sensitive. For us to be in this planet, we have to have crocodile skin, right, Lou? We're always told this. We said crocodile skin because if you're too sensitive, then you're not going to be able to really help.
Yeah, just like the doctors, right? They need to grow the tough skin so they can go and operate on the patient, right? See the blood. We are called, right, to grow this tough skin, not because we want to put aside the feelings, but in order for us to help, we cannot be too fragile, right? We need to be strong and we need to go deeper and focus on what Jesus wants us to accomplish. And sometimes we're going to have to go through very difficult pathways, but
Yeah.
we need it to really have this connection with this divine and say, I want to help and I will do it. And don't be overly, right? What do
Overly
you
sensitive.
overly sensitive about the task that we are asked to be doing, because when we do this, we lose track of the evolution, we lose track of a lot of things, and we need to be tough, have tough skin to continue and help and have this good will inside of us, the good one, which is
Yeah.
hard, right? We have goodwill as long as it's going accordingly to our plan.
Yeah. And, we are, as we're studying Spiritism, we have to bring the two realms into the conversation, right? So we want to do something, but we have our friends from the past that are like, hey, come on, don't do that. We have, you know, we can watch TV, we can have a good time. Why do all this work? So we're going to have sometimes thoughts that are counterproductive. We need to dominate those. We need to recognize those. We need to be strong. And even when, these thoughts comes to our minds, we're going to say, you know what? I understand. I pray, but we need to do the good work.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
And now that you're mentioning that, is like we need to get out of this comfort zone that we have, right? Otherwise, we are just repeating the same mistakes that we had done in the past. So when we are called to do something different, not stay in this cold, nice weather watching TV, right? Just
Oh,
staying there with the family. We are called to do work. We are called to go outside and see who's in need. We're called to help. We are called to help. And we
yeah.
need to get out of these comfort zones that we have. And of course, it is hard for everyone because we are all living here and we most like have almost the same feeling, otherwise we wouldn't be in the planet earth, right? So we are all together, we are kind of all alike, trying to change and get better. So there is a lot of for us to work in, like daily we see those opportunity to see how to change, how to learn something new, like the mentors always tells us, learn something new daily so you can change, break the cycle. And this is where we are trying to focus on it, right? See how we
Yeah.
can break this cycle and be better beings.
Yeah. And Lou, another comment here from Justin talking about, how prayer is work. It is true, Justin. Even though we feel like, oh, we're just here, praying. During the pandemic, what did the good spirits ask us to do? Work more. How? Pray more. Pray, 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 pray. Every day, 6 o'clock, Kardec Radio has the prayer. There's a whole team that is there. It is work. As long as it's with goodwill, right? We're just studying. Goodwill is critical. If we go there and our heart's not in the right place, that doesn't count. Yeah. But you're absolutely right that one way we can all do is prayer. You don't have to be with anybody. You don't have to memorize prayers, none of that. There's no order, there's no rules. You're just praying from your heart. That is work. We vibrate together as we're vibrating right now. This is work. It's work for ourselves because we are progressing, but it's also collaborating with the higher spirits that are visiting people connected to us, that need help, that need treatment, that needs to be rescued. It counts. So we shouldn't take lightly if we receive a message from the higher spirits, as we did, right, Lou? Like in the mediumistic meetings, they say, study more, work more, pray more, all the time. All the time. When we think we're studying, they're like, study more, read more, get more books, do more programs, because it is work. So you're absolutely right, Justin. If you're like, right now, I don't know what I can do, pray.
Yeah, and a reminder to us that prayer is putting God's love in action, right? So we are acting on his love. We're making this connection with him and doing something, right? It's like the preparation to make the connection and go and do something. Being like the connecting, like when we start all the meetings making this connection with the divine. So we're making this effort, right, to make connected with the divine.
Yeah. And Lou, so going further on the text, they go to say, what happens if you don't help? Right? Because he says, the woman, after, being given tasks and she's saying no or whatever reason, she goes back to the angel, and the angel says, my sister, just go back to your normal earthly endeavors for the time being. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
The spirits are there. Come on, we're helping you. We're cheering for you. Let's go. And she was like, but. And eventually they said, you know what? Just go back to your normal daily lives. And she was perplexed. She asked, but why? Don't I deserve, word circle, don't I deserve to draw nigh to a higher level of life? What is that called, friends? There's a name for when you feel like you deserve. It's called vanity. Vanity is when we feel that we are deserving so much, that we're better than others. We feel like superior, right? Which explains why she had so many buts. She was feeling superior to others. Her vanity was at, a very high level. Self-entitled, right, Nora? Absolutely. She felt like, don't I deserve it? Well, the good spirits gave her so many opportunities, and she declined it. Nobody else declined for her. She did it. And look, this is hard. If somebody tells you, your eyes are full of ill will. If somebody told me that, I would be perplexed. Yeah. Your eyes are full of ill will, meaning you only see the bad in people, right? Because she always saw something really bad on the situation. She couldn't see the good out of it. But let us take us to our master. This is Jesus telling our story. What did Jesus do? It's the very opposite. Jesus always he was seeking the good in people. He seek the opportunity of changing people's lives, no matter their condition. And he seeks the good in us.
Yeah. And it's so interesting when the message tell her, go back. Yeah, just go back to your normal earthly endeavors for the time being, because that is already hard enough for her. So even for us, we need, like, sometimes we like just want to do more things. But if you're not being able to take care of those, like, the small tasks, right? The daily endeavors in our life, we need to work on this. We can be wanting more. It comes back what we started saying in the beginning. How can I cannot have like a bigger task because you're not able to move from step one. So
Yeah,
that's why they tell her to go back. Because for her in this reincarnation, that point in time, this is what she needs to start working on, and she could move forward. Interesting, yeah?
that's a great point, Lou.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great point. She wasn't ready for the next step.
Yeah.
She had to go back and take care of her own house, right? Like organize that first before she had to go out.
Yeah.
And it also reminded me from yesterday talk when Andre said that if you cannot see your brother and sister, so another person with good eyes, with loving eyes, is because we are yet to find our connection with God, which means that we can't help others until we help ourselves. We can work on it together, but if you're seeing a lot of evil in everything around you, we should do a self-reflection. We need to work on ourselves, find our connection with the divine. It's not about do I believe in God or not. It's really about how you feel as part of, love. God is love. God is love. If you feel loved, if you feel supported, then you're okay. If we're not there, we need to work on it. Because we don't want to be like this woman. She was lost in reality. Her eyes were like blind. She was full of vanity. She was oversensitive. How could she help anybody? Right? Very hard. Your eyes are full of ill will. And then he finishes in this where friends, if you put more comments there, please do. We are seeing your comments, okay? He finishes by saying, those who spend too much time worrying about evil are in no condition to do the good. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
So if you want to do the good, but every single time we go out, we put so many issues, we need to reflect.
Yeah.
Oh, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to be out with the homeless. The SSVA did beautiful works for many years serving the homeless, but because of the pandemic, that's now on hold. But we would hear it a lot. We would hear it a lot. Oh, we go help the homeless and then they get the food and throw it in the trash. or like, oh, they're selling the water, or like this or that, or and we're like, well, that's their problem. We go there, we serve the homeless. you know Whatever they do, they need our help. We don't go with buts, otherwise we can't help. Oh, but I don't know what I do. Oh, you know what you can do? Pray. We would take turns praying for the homeless. They don't even know that we are praying, right, Lou?
Yes.
We had a prayer station, and every so often somebody would come. But even if there was nobody there, we were praying. And you could pray for everybody on the line, and you can pray for the food, and you can pray for the spirits connected that are being rescued. You can pray for so much going on, for everybody that is around the park. There's prayer everywhere. We could always do it. But we have to be without this evil eyes, just judging people.
Yeah.
And we don't know what we did in the past to be now asked to help those very people. Most likely, we're no victims. Nobody is. So if the good spirits are telling us, go help, our reincarnation, our past lives will tell us what we did, right?
Right. And as you're talking, and as we're mentioning about the homeless, we need to also see the other side, right? Because for us, look at down from us is like a little bit easier. But sometimes we need to help those people that are in powerful positions. And we still like, right, criticize them and do all the stuff. But we need to be open mind that everyone needs this help, and not only the ones that are in like in financial less position than us, but like those people, because we cannot be stuck only in the physical material things. Because like when people are ill, also we need to remember of their souls, right? The hunger in their souls, that they need the nourishing on their souls. So we need to turn around and think about how can I help spiritually the brother and sister of ours, because in all levels, in all society, we have people starving of this love, of this spiritual nourishment that we now have a little bit more, and then we need to be able to share them, and we need to share with loving and kind and willingly, right? Taking away this ill will and say, no, this brother and sister of mine also need this nourishing for their life.
Yes. Beautiful chapter. We are very grateful for the inspiration from the good spirits and for everybody that is contributing to this conversation. The gospel at home, that is what it's about. It's our exchanges together. So we see the friends, and thank you so much for being part of this moment of reflections. We are now going to move into what we call the passes, followed by the prayer. So during the passes, it's very important for us to sit still. If you were doing a bunch of stuff before, now it's a good time to sit still. And Luciana is going to lead us to this visualization and then prayer. When we pray together, there is definitely power to it. Jesus told us, if we're together, we can vibrate higher. So when Lu leads us into the prayer, we can repeat her words in our minds. No judgment, just repeat it, whatever it is. And we don't need to ask for anything because they already know, okay? So we don't need to come with a petition. Let us use this moment for self-growth. Like Robbie shared with us, he said, self-progress is a constant pursuit. Always seek to improve. And this is what we're going to do it right now. Lou, we're all yours.
So let us close our eyes, dear friends, breathing in and out, visualizing our dear Master Jesus sitting by our side, sharing his teachings with us. And as we are sitting with Jesus, we can feel the different vibrations reaching our soul, reflecting in our physical body. This love energy emanating from our Master heals us and help us to realign ourselves with the divine in us. Breathing in and out, we align our chakras with the help of doctors and nurses from the from the spiritual realm. We feel physically the change as we are being healed in both realms of life. We soak in this love, nourishing the soul, nourishing the physical body. We can see the light coming from Master Jesus' heart, gently permeating us, and all the lower connections that we made throughout this week are being dissolved, recycled, making us lighter and open to receive all the blessings that the mentors has prepared for us today. Jesus' team is big and is working on us. And as we keep soaking in this love, the whole planet is also receiving the blessings of this passing. We can feel the planet Earth harmonized and illuminated. Everyone and everything in all realms of life are receiving the blessings in this healing treatment at this moment of healing. And as we continue to soak in the blessings of these vibrations, together we pray to all our brothers and sisters in greater need. We pray for our family, our universal family, that they receive the help and the necessary tools to continue this reincarnation on the planet. We would like to pray for all our brothers and sisters that are ill in hospitals, in their house, wherever they might be. We pray so that the emissaries of Jesus can reach to them and do the healing and help them. We would like to pray for all the families that are suffering domestic and psychological tortures, pains. We know, dear Father, there are many families in this planet that are being suffering. May a member of this family be able to change the atmosphere and help with those domestic violence to go away. We pray for all our brothers and sisters in prison due to crimes they committed in the physical realm. But we also pray, dear Father, for all the criminals in both realms of life and the criminals that are not in jail due to the laws that we have now, but that according to our Creator's laws are very criminal like us. We pray so we receive mercy and that we can help. We also pray for all parents that they have strength to continue their mission in this planet, raising children, raising human beings for the light. And we pray for the new generation that will take care of this planet. May they be able to align themselves with the divine law in order to make the planet Earth a planet of better place to live, a regeneration, a happier planet. And with the permission of doctors and nurses, of the mentors of Cardiac Radio, of the Spirit Society of Virginia, our Master Jesus, dear Mother Mary, all the spiritual guides that were present Throughout this gospel online, we would like to ask permission to close this study section of today, and so be it.
Thank you, everyone, for joining Luciana and I today. We have this program every Saturday, 11 a.m., and there's so many other programs on Kardec Radio. You know, if you go to the Kardec Radio Facebook page, you'll see a lot of things. And there are also podcasts, books. If you go to the web page, you'll see there's a whole lot for us to study and keep improving. For now, we wish you a beautiful Saturday, big virtual hug, and we'll see you next time.
Bye,
Many
friends. Many
blessings.
blessings.
Bye.